deals with distance formula and midpoint, it seems like. There's a bit about, okay, let's do the distance formula and the midpoint formula first. So you're given 2 points. And I'm going to graph these. So I'm going to the left 4, and then I'm going up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're calling this point A. And then I'm going to the left 8, so left 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going down 3. 1, 2, 3. That's my point B. And they're essentially asking you, what is the length of this line? So this is kind of a Math 7 technique where you want to kind of take these points. Oh, not Math 7. I think this is actually Math 6. I think Math 6 is where you do Pythagorean theorem. So you want to take those points and create a right triangle. And in doing so, what you're doing is you're finding the way that you can calculate the length of this, right? I know from point B to point A in the X direction, I travel 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And then from point B to point A in the Y direction, I'm traveling up 3 and then up another 5, so I'm traveling up 8 units. And now we can use the Pythagorean theorem to be able to figure out what is the length of this segment. So we have 4 squared plus 8 squared is equal to C squared. We have 16 plus 64 is equal to C squared. 16 plus 64 is 80 is equal to C squared. And then I'm going to square root this. Now, unfortunately, 80 doesn't have a perfect square. So we have 2 options. We can take the value of 80, put it into our calculator, and get an estimate on that. So square root of 80, let me just see if I can put that into my computer real quick. So and the square root of 80 is approximately 8.9. But also you can use strategies to rewrite this in an equivalent form. And we rewrite radicals in equivalent form by finding the largest perfect square that divides evenly into it. And the largest perfect square that is known that divides evenly into 80 is the value 16. So this expression could also be written as 4 radical 5. And it just depends on what the directions say. Looking at this idea of midpoint. So this was letter E, where it asks you to find the distance. The midpoint is simply the point that is in the exact middle of A and B. And you can do this visually, or you can do this using a formula. And I think visually it will make most sense. If I look at this point, the point in between is going to be, let's see, left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it seems like it's up 1. So my midpoint is at left 6, up 1. So it's the value that's in the middle. But there's also a formula to it. And the formula is that you can average together the X values and you can average together the Y values. And this will actually calculate your midpoint. So if it's not so easy to see visually, you can do that. So if I take -4 plus -8, -4 plus -8, and I divide it by 2, that gives me a -12 over 2, which notice is equal to -6. And then I could take 5 plus -3, 5 plus -3, divide that by 2, and I'm getting 2 over 2, which is 1. So I'm just showing you here that you can use this formula to be able to verify your visual answer. All right. So that's E and that's F. And then the other ones are really from our Algebra 1 class. It asks you to find the slope of the line. So in letter A, it asks you to find the slope. So slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It then encourages you to write an equation for a line. So I would use point slope, and I would insert the slope for the slope value that you find. I would choose a point, probably letter A. I would probably use A, -4, 5. Put that into your X and, oh gosh, Miss Crisco. Put those into your X1 and your Y1, figure out that, and then translate that into slope-intercept form. So once you do that, then you can identify your y-intercept, because your B value is going to represent your y-intercept. And then finally, it just asks you to write it into standard form. So you're just going to take this equation and move over the x value, and then write it in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. And depending on most mathematicians would agree that you would want your a value to be a positive value. It's just like a standard thing. So if you get a value here that is not positive, you want to multiply through by a -1. Yeah, and that seems to be it. So hopefully that helps you out. And if you have any questions, definitely feel free to email me. Happy summer.